Well, hello, everyone. It's good to see you all, or at least to imagine that I can see you all. And it's great to pretend to see your faces and to see the greetings that are going on as we do this live stream event together. I need to tell you that I got a haircut yesterday and I feel like a million bucks. Pastor Matt got a haircut. Pastor Q got a haircut. Aaron got a haircut. So it's just sort of the time. So in case you're wondering, we had a staff meeting today and we all look pretty okay, at least better than we did over the weekend. So good progress going on. Hey, I have to tell you how much I miss you all and how much we miss seeing each other. Our friend Q has been calling people steadily and religiously, you might say. And the rest of us have too, but Q in a special way, we want to give him thanks for connecting with folks. And just over and over again, he's been reporting, hey, we're ready to get together. We're ready to see people again. And it's hard to imagine, isn't it, that it's been 6 months since we've worshiped together in person. And it's such a gift to have Aaron and Jelaine and their kids and their amazing talent. And we're grateful for all the people who participate in video worship, but we do miss being together, don't we? Hey, I want to talk a little bit about worship going forward. I'm going to talk about some new initiatives going forward, but today I want to start by saying how grateful we are to have a theme for this fall and really into the year. We've adopted as a church the theme Serious Joy, which is the theme of our current sermon series based on the book of Philippians. And the book of Philippians is such an amazing gift. Paul writes with such joy and such love and such encouragement and such challenge from prison. So the kind of joy we're talking about is indeed serious joy, not in the sense that it's sober, but in the sense that it's reflective and that it's deep and that it can coincide and even grow in a season of lament. When I look out my office window, I know the air quality index is something like 350 to 400 out there. It's hazardous. It's difficult to even know what to do with such alarming news. But this is the kind of joy Paul demonstrates in that prison cell when he writes Philippians is the kind of joy that God offers to us. And it's the kind of joy we'll be reflecting on for the weeks and really the months that are ahead. It's the joy that's nevertheless, I know there's chaos out there in the political world, but nevertheless, I know there's chaos out there in the world of nations. Nevertheless, I know that my neighborhood seems chaotic and people seem on edge. Nevertheless, I know that my own family has relationships strained because of such a long time in a pandemic with no real tangible concrete end in sight. Nevertheless, it is a nevertheless kind of joy that we want to celebrate and that we want to receive from God as a gift, because it's not the kind of joy we can manufacture inside us. It's the kind of joy we receive as a gift. It's the kind of joy that comes as a fruit of the Holy Spirit in us, that we receive as a gift that God grows up in us. And that's what we want to think about in the sermon series, which I'm excited about. And I know I'm a little biased as the senior pastor, because I get to pick the sermon series, but I'm excited about this sermon series from Philippians, and a number of you have said so as well. We'll talk about that. Rejoice in the Lord, Paul says. I will say again, rejoice. Let your gentleness be evident to all. And then he goes on to say, let the peace, do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and petition, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace that passes understanding will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. That's where we're going, and that's such a gift for us to receive together and then to learn to live together. And I want us to remember again today that kind of joy is the kind of joy that comes in being connected to God. It's the kind of joy that comes in serving too. It's easy at a time like this to become self-focused, to think about how we're doing, and it's wise to pay attention to how we're doing. It's wise to lament in the Psalms. It's such a gift that we try to encourage at Granite Springs in a time like this. We get to receive the Psalms in a fresh way as a gift. They teach us to lament. They teach us to pray. They give us words to pray when we have no words to pray. But at the same time, they teach us to trust in the one in whom we can place our ultimate confidence, in the one who gives us his joy, his presence as a gift, as a peace that passes understanding. And along with that comes joy in a remarkable way in serving other people. So we pray honestly. We admit honestly how we're doing, but we also, as Christians, don't get swallowed up in our discouragement. We don't get swallowed up in our circumstances. What instead we do is we offer the cup of cold water, which Jesus says will not go unrewarded. We say a kind word. We listen to people who are like us, and maybe more importantly, we listen to people who are unlike us, and we hear their stories, and we come to follow the words of the Apostle James, who says, be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. So the kind of joy we're talking about is the kind of joy that's a gift. It's a kind of joy that in small ways and concrete ways and tangible ways is oriented around serving and loving people in our network of relationships, and maybe especially outside our network of relationships. It's the kind of joy that comes when we even remember to love our enemies and to love the people we disagree with. It's the kind of joy that God gives us. So I want to say thanks for listening to me almost preach. Did I almost preach, or did I really preach right then? As we go forward, it's the kind of joy that is serious joy. It's the kind of joy that we're going to be talking about in serving. It's also the kind of joy that comes in community. And so we'll be giving small groups a chance to think about cultivating this kind of joy. I want to give a special shout out to Marissa and our intern, Hannah Dungan, who have done a wonderful job in cultivating teaching and love for the children. And if you aren't a child, and you maybe don't have a child at home, you can still participate in this. If you'd like to see what Marissa is doing, we'll find a way to do that. Just let us know that you're interested, or that you maybe have kids or grandkids or nieces or nephews that want to sign up, and we'll make sure that happens. That team, those folks are such a gift, and it's such a gift for the kids at a time like this. I know there's all kinds of inputs coming their way, but it's a gift for them to receive the grace that comes through loving teachers like Marissa and Hannah and some others. I want to tell a little bit about some new initiatives we've got going on. One of the new initiatives we've got going on is we're calling it Soul Talk. And it's an opportunity, as in the spirit of cultivating this serious joy, for you to meet with a pastor. In some circles, this is called spiritual direction, and we don't want to be quite maybe that formal or precise about it. So we're calling it Soul Talk. And let me give you an example of what it means. Soul Talk is a series of spiritual conversations in which you have the opportunity to explore and deepen your relationship with God, the one who grows joy in us despite our circumstances. One of our pastors will connect with you personally and guide you through these conversations. This could be a one-time conversation. You could say, I just want to meet for about 45 minutes with a pastor and just, there's an old song that says, it is well with my soul. I want to do a little spiritual checkup maybe, or just have a conversation to see if it's well with my soul. Or if you'd like, you can sign up for a series of 3 conversations around a theme. There will be more on this coming later, but we just want you to know, we as pastors, in a time where it's harder to get together, where it's more limited, how many opportunities we have to get together, we want to give you a chance to talk about what's really going on and to make deep spiritual progress in a season like this. And we know one of the ancient practices of the church, one of the deep sources of wisdom of the church, are these one-on-one conversations. So if you're interested, contact the church at Granite Springs or one of us pastors, and we'll help you get set up for this. More details coming, but in this fireside chat, I wanted to make sure you have a chance to hear about what's going on. Another interesting project we have going on, thanks to Matt, is a Psalms podcast. This doesn't exist yet, but in the next few weeks, it will take off a podcast about God's ancient prayer language that we've talked prayer book, his ancient prayer book called the Psalms, where he teaches us to pray when we have no words to pray, when we don't have sensibilities to pray, when we're learning to pray, which is something we do our whole lives. We're going to have a chance to talk about this or listen to this Psalms podcast. And if you know Matt and Aaron's fine work on their Curious Church podcast, you'll be ready to go on this new subject as well. The other one's going to continue to go, and that will be a gift, but so will this new podcast take off. So we have soul care going on, or soul talk going on. We have the Psalms podcast going on, and Marissa's making plans to work on a fall festival, and we're hopeful about that. It'll be a new kind of way of doing things compared to how we've done it the last few years, we're sure, but we're hopeful that we can pull that off in a creative way. So more on that as it comes down the pipe as well. The other thing we want to talk about, so we've talked about serious joy, we've talked about joy in serving, we've talked about joy in some of these new initiatives and some of these opportunities to grow deeper in our faith. One of the things I know you're curious about, because I'm curious about it myself, is when we'll be able to get together for in-person worship. And some of you who are really on the cutting edge of news might know that we've already moved as a county into the red zone of the governor's new plan, which means that we are now able to meet together in person, even inside. So this is just hot off the press of maybe a half hour ago. But earlier today, Matt and Q and I and Aaron met, and it's one of a whole series of meetings about how do we worship in a way that's in person, but that's safe as well. So we're really hopeful that we, by Thursdays weekly, we'll have some concrete steps about how we can worship together in person. And we'll probably start slow, and then we'll probably increase as we go. But I just want you to hear that we're on the verge of that, and we're on the horizon. I know I've said that before, and then the governor and circumstances called for a change, and we wanted to honor that. But now we really think we're on the verge of being able to meet together, just maybe a week or so away from doing that. So pay attention to this Thursdays weekly, where we'll talk more about that. Kind of a bit of the journey on that is, again, a shout out to Matt and Amy for their hard work. We looked at renting tents. We looked at purchasing tents, and tents are kind of hard to find these days. So we're going to have some other options, some creative options, we think, as we move forward. But could you pay attention to that and look forward to this Thursdays weekly, and we'll have an update and an announcement on that. So thanks for your flexibility. Thanks for thanks not only for your flexibility, but for participating in these worship services online. So many of you have been faithful about that. A special shout again to Aaron and Jelaine and their family, to Ian and Juliet, for leading us in this, and to others who've led us in call to worships and praying and other things. We're excited about how we might do a both and as we go forward, getting ready for whatever the season of COVID may throw us. But that will include the both and getting together, and we're very excited about that. Hey, there's one more thing I want to talk about today. Well, before I talk about that, though, Psalm 100, I should say, right? Shout for joy to the Lord, all the earth. Serve the Lord with gladness. Come into his presence with joyful songs. It is know that the Lord has made us, and we are his. We are his people, the sheep of his pasture. Enter his gates with thanksgiving and bless his name. On and on. So many great themes in Psalm 100. We're grateful for it. It reminds us that serious joy can happen in worship. Shout for joy to the Lord, all the earth. Worship the Lord. Serve the Lord with gladness. Hey, some of you have had a chance to read last week's weekly, and in there was an update on my own health. And so you read about my diagnosis with Parkinson's, which is, of course, not a diagnosis that you want to get. But I want you to know how grateful I am for so many of you who've reached out and who've said encouraging words. It's been quite a journey these last 10 months. And as the elders and I came to the decision to share more widely, part of that, as you know, was a sense that I'm able to participate in a drug trial, pharmaceutical drug trial at UCSF. And I'm grateful for the doctors there. I'm grateful for the people who make trials. I'm grateful for the people fund trials. And I wanted to participate in it to make a difference, which means I won't be taking the medication that masks or that is the go-to medication for Parkinson's. I'll be postponing that for a while. So you may see me shake once in a while. And I guess that's just the way it is, right? But I'm grateful to God for smart doctors and this ability to go to trial. I'm grateful for a family that is steadfast. And I'm grateful for all of you who are praying for me. And I expect this um, trial to be helpful in concrete ways. And whether it is or not, I'm still hopeful that based on medicine already available, I'll have a long run to continue to be senior pastor. I've only been senior pastor here for 29 years. It feels like we're just getting warmed up, right? So we want to do a lot of years ahead as well. I asked staff today at our meeting what they've been praying for the last month, and the answers would give you great joy. And people are praying for families in our church. People are praying for marriages in our church, recognizing we're all in a new kind of situation. People are praying for siblings. People are praying for hope. People are praying for peace that passes understanding. People are praying for the ability to serve people in concrete ways and kindness. And I wonder if we could talk live, what your prayer list would be. What would be high on your prayer list? And we're praying for so many things. And it was beautifully encouraging. I just want to say, for us as a church, one of my go-to prayers is Psalm 131. In a season of chaos, in a season where we don't know what's going to happen with a pandemic, where we don't know what's going to happen with air quality. Again, as I look out of my office right this minute, everything is kind of orange and hazy, and it's really kind of discouraging and depressing. Is it possible to have serious joy in such a time? Well, we can turn to a lot of places, but one of the places we can turn to is Psalm 131, where it says, "My eyes are not lifted up, O Lord. My heart is not proud. I do not consider myself with great matters or things too wonderful for me. But I've stilled and quieted my soul like a weaned child. Like a weaned child, my heart is content. O Israel, put your trust, put your hope in the Lord, both now and forevermore." Friends, that's my prayer for myself. That's my prayer for our family. That's my prayer for all of you, that we, like weaned children, could be content with what God has given us, that we could trust him and be excited about the joy that he gives us. Friends, it's been wonderful to be together. It's wonderful to see so many of you connected by this chat, and know that others will too. So again, look for an update on Thursday, and God bless you, friends. May the Lord bless you and keep you, and make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And even now, even in this season of chaos, give you his great peace and his serious joy. Friends, go in peace. God bless you all. It's wonderful to see you, and look forward to the time we can see each other again for real. All right, take care, friends. Bye.